As a mom of a large family, I know the feeling when you walk in the grocery store and see that your family's favorite foods have risen in price yet again. But you don't need to eat less healthy, you just need to shop smarter. And today I have 5 tips that help us keep our family of 9 fed cheap and nutritious foods, all while staying in budget. So my first tip is one that I used to do all the time and I got out of the habit, and then I started up again recently and I didn't realize how much money it actually saved me. And that is shopping every 2 weeks. Now, my real strategy here is to stay out of the grocery store as much as I can. And that is going to help you in 3 ways. The first way, of course, is it's going to save you gas. I live about a half hour from my nearest big box grocery store, so this is a big one for me. But the second one is it's going to save you time, and time truly is money. For me, with the traveling and loading everyone up and getting food for 9 people and then putting it all away, my grocery trip takes me about 4 hours every week. Now, it might be a little bit less for you, maybe it's 3 hours or even 2 hours, but think of what you could be doing for your family with an extra 2 or 3 hours every other week. That is definitely enough time to bake your own bread. You could be cooking freezer meals and saving money on convenience foods. You could be growing a small garden. That's all it takes is probably a couple hours in your week, and giving your family far more nutritious fruits and vegetables. There's so many ways that you could be spending those extra couple of hours instead of walking through a grocery store. And the third way that this helps me is it actually saves me money on the food itself. This wouldn't seem to make sense at first glance because it seems like if you eat a certain amount of food in 2 weeks, that's not going to change if you go shopping once a week or twice a week. But the people who own stores are very intelligent, and they have paid huge sums to marketing specialists who know tricks to get you to spend more than you intend to spend. There is even a study that showed that anywhere from, I believe, 51 to 68% of the items that you come out with were unintentional buys. That is huge. If you could be saving that much money in just 1 week from not walking into the grocery store, it would definitely make a big difference in your food bill. I know it has for ours. I haven't figured out the exact numbers, but I definitely think that we are saving probably at least $300 a month on our groceries just because I am shopping less often. Now, a couple of practical tips. This isn't going to go perfectly at first. If you go shopping a few times a week or once a week, figuring out what your family eats in 2 weeks is going to be a little bit hard. We always think that we eat a lot less than we actually do, and you're going to forget things. But something that I suggested in my previous video that we do is we have 14 recipes that are just, I almost know them by heart. My family likes them. And so this makes it a lot easier to do my grocery list and to always have the ingredients for those recipes on hand. Also, as far as meal planning, because I have these 14 recipes, meal planning for 2 weeks is not really any harder than it is for 1 week. So definitely give this a try. I'd say do it for a couple months and you'll get really good at it, get really streamlined. I'm wondering if some of you go even longer, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month. I kind of want to try this myself, but I'm a little bit afraid about keeping my produce fresh. Please let me know in the comments if you shop even less often than 2 weeks and how it's going for you. So tip number 2, I feel like this one's gonna make some people annoyed because everyone wants to feel like they are super money savers when they buy memberships, but I don't buy memberships. Yes, tip number 2, I do not buy memberships. I have had a Costco membership, I have had a Sam's Club memberships, and I have had numerous memberships to online places that sent me produce or where I could buy dry goods online. And I stopped doing all of these for several reasons. I found that the money I saved on those products didn't save me that much more than the actual cost of the memberships. I could often find those products at other places for the same or a cheaper price. And secondly, because I had spent the money on those memberships, I felt like I constantly had to shop at those places, and I wouldn't price check and I would just keep buying there, and then later on find out that I was buying this huge bulk item that was actually a lot cheaper in smaller quantities somewhere else, simply because I felt I had to not waste my membership. And this is actually a huge part of why these stores do memberships. I heard that Costco covers 72% of its cost with memberships alone. The people who run these stores are very intelligent, and they do memberships for a reason. It's basically an insurance policy in case the people who buy the memberships don't come and shop as often as they plan to. On top of that, there is actually a psychological effect that when you have a membership, you feel like you have to shop there. And fourthly, I think I only said I had 3 reasons, but there is a 4th reason. I noticed especially at Costco, now Costco is a fun place to shop, and it has a lot of really awesome convenience foods, healthy convenience foods that you can't find anywhere else, or at least you can't find them for the prices they offer. So I saw these great deals on these convenience foods, and I just had to have them, when really it would have saved me so much more money if I had just made those foods at home. And I know all of us need convenience foods once in a while. By all means, you know, do what you need to do for your family. But for me, as a stay-at-home mom, I found I saved so much more money by just cooking these things at home, and I was a lot less tempted to buy the convenience foods, and I wasn't going into those stores. Maybe these memberships are just incredibly convenient for you, but I definitely would go through and evaluate things and decide what kind of value they are adding to your shopping experience, how much exactly they are saving, and really decide if you need them or you just think that you need them. My 3rd tip is one that I've kind of found it hard to articulate, so please bear with me. Before I get to it, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button and let me know that this information is helping you. My 3rd tip is to shop outside the parameters of labels. So when you go to the store, you see so many labels. You see organic, non-GMO, free range, RBST free, paleo, and all these labels were put on there by the producers to give you the idea that what you are buying is a superior product. And I am not saying that these labels aren't good and that I'm not glad they're there. I am glad to have certain standards and certifications that let me know more about what I am buying. However, you have to know that these certifications come with a lot of government red tape that adds quite a bit to the cost. And not all of them are intuitive. What I mean by that is you don't necessarily know what you're getting when you hear the label. For instance, free range or cage-free. Probably a lot of us have heard that cage-free eggs, really those chickens don't have a lot more space to run around. So let me give you some concrete examples of how I don't let labels dictate what I buy. Let's say I'm in the store and I see frozen broccoli and then there's fresh organic broccoli. I'm probably not going to spend extra money on fresh organic broccoli. Firstly, broccoli is one of the clean 15, and the conventional ways of growing it aren't that terrible. They don't bother me a lot. Broccoli is actually a natural detoxifier, so you're not taking a huge risk eating conventional broccoli. Secondly, when you buy fresh fruits, they are often days or even weeks old. Studies have shown that 30% of the nutrients that are in fresh fruits and vegetables are lost within the first 3 days. 50% of the vitamin C is gone within the first week. Really, I try to get frozen as much as possible. What I'm saying is that I let the label of organic dictate me less than the idea, the knowledge of what is actually more nutritious. And quite often, when possible, I buy frozen vegetables over fresh vegetables. Another great example of this is spinach. Spinach loses 90% of the nutrients within the first 48 hours, so I always buy my organic spinach frozen instead of getting those big tubs of the fresh spinach, which just wilts down into a little ball. I mean, honestly, you're just paying to preserve it and keep it leafy and green looking. It's quite often things that say non-GMO are products that aren't even genetically modified in this country. You'll even see labels for things that are gluten-free that never had gluten in the first place, like sugar and salt. What I'm saying here is shop smart. Don't be overwhelmed by labels. And I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here. If you wanna cut it out, just skip to the next chapter. But so many people think that being healthy, being crunchy, I don't know what else you would call it, is about buying certain labels at the grocery store, and this is just not true. If you can't afford those labels right now, there are so many things in your life that contribute just as much to your health: exercising, having loving relationships with your family, being outside, getting natural sunlight in your eyes in the morning. All of these things can have just as much or more of an effect than what you are putting in your body. So do not stress about labels. Focus on trying to eat fresh, something that was produced near to you as much as possible, and try to cook with whole natural ingredients, and you're going to be doing so much for yourself. Don't spend extra money if you don't have it on red tape from the government. My next tip is all about how you cook, and that is always double up on dinner. I always double or sometimes triple dinner, though that's hard with 9 people, because as I said in my previous video, I don't do a lot of chips and sandwiches. I find they're expensive. So we almost always have leftovers for lunch the next day, but maybe you don't like having leftovers the next day. Use that double recipe as a freezer meal. You're already dirtying all the dishes. You're doing the work. Cooking twice as much is not that much harder, and you're saving yourself an incredible amount of time. And when something crazy happens in your week and you can't cook dinner, you're gonna have that peace of mind to know that you have this ready-made healthy meal that someone can pop in the oven. It's not only going to save you money and time, but anything you make at home is going to be healthier than something that you buy at the store. So if you're making spaghetti, double the sauce and freeze it, double that pot of chili, double the muffins you're making for breakfast, freeze some bread. Always think ahead. Hey, that's a rhyme. Freeze some bread. Always think ahead. And my last tip is to shop in unconventional places. So I know I said here I try to stay out of the grocery store, and I definitely stick to that. But what I'm talking about here mostly is online shopping, especially with non-perishable products. So often we have in our head, because we found a really great deal at our normal big box grocery store, that is always the cheapest place to buy that thing. I'm gonna give a concrete example here. A few weeks ago, I noticed that our family's favorite gluten-free noodles had gone way up in price at Walmart. And I did a quick Google search, and I found that I could get them much cheaper at Swanson because they were having a sale. So I bought them in bulk, and they were shipped right to my door. I would not normally have thought of looking at a vitamin shop for my pasta, but there it was, and I saved myself quite a bit of money. I buy einkorn wheat berries from Azure Standard. They usually have a great price, but they had really jumped up in price. So I did a quick Google search, and I found bulk einkorn berries on eBay of all places. I got these beautiful einkorn berries that cooked up wonderfully, and they were literally half the price of anywhere else I had found them. Just think outside the box. It's wonderful to be able to check prices and have that all at your fingertips, one of the conveniences of modern life. These tips were helpful to you. Please let me know and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one.